Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Cortland and we are here with another movie review. This time we have Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Alright, this movie has been something everyone's been anticipating for the longest time, ever since The Force Awakens came out back in 2015. They're just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen next? What's going on? Who are Rey's parents? Who are they? Who are they? Spoilers. Rey's parents are Jawas. Heh. 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 Anyways, moving on. Before we begin, quick note. I'm still a little bit stuffed up because I've had a cold for the past week or so. So that's also a reason why that this review is a bit late. But anyways, also, full spoiler warning ahead. I'm going to be talking about some spoilers for this movie, so if you don't want to listen, if you haven't seen it for some stupid reason, just go away. We don't want you here. I'm just kidding, I want you here. Please, please, come back, come back! Okay, anyways. So, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Where to begin? Yeah, this movie is, it's very weird, in all honesty. Still not quite sure how I truly feel about it just yet. Alright, so first off, what did I like about it? What I liked about it was, first and foremost, Rey and Kylo Ren. These two characters I really enjoyed the most out of this movie. Like, ever since they were introduced in The Force Awakens, like, they instantly captured my attention. Like, I loved what they did with these new characters. It's just something new and different and something that you wouldn't expect from them, like from the main Star Wars characters. And like what they did in Force Awakens was amazing, but what they did with them in this movie is even better. They raised it even further. I really loved what they did with them. They went in just a completely different direction with these characters. Like throughout the movie, Rey and Kylo Ren ended up in this little force connection thing that neither of them knew who was doing it. At first, Kylo thought it was Rey, but like, no, that effort would kill her. That force connection was probably one of the best things about this movie, like the dynamic between these two characters and how each of their stories progress throughout the film. It was really cool to see that. You have the light side and the dark side, both conversing, trying to persuade each other to join either side, and eventually they both come together towards the middle of the movie, and that leads into probably one of the best scenes in the entire movie, in my opinion. The scene where Rey and Kylo are in Snoke's throne room, and Rey is confronted by Snoke, and Snoke's just trying to bring her to their side and whatnot. The moment when Snoke reveals that he was the one connecting the two together the entire time, that's when I'm like, oh god, things are about to go down. So then I had thought the scene was going to go in a specific way, but in the end it went somewhere completely different and just turned the whole entire story on its head. Kylo Ren doesn't turn to the light side, but he turns on Snoke, which is not surprising because that's usually how the dark side works. That's how it's always been. Well, I guess more so the Sith, but just the dark side in general, that's pretty much what would happen. The apprentice turns on his master, and then Kylo Ren kills Snoke, and then Rey and Kylo Ren team up to fight all the Praetorian Guards, which was the most amazing fight scene in this entire movie, and probably one of the coolest fight scenes ever in Star Wars, period, I think. It was just really cool to see them team up together. It was really unexpected. Never would have thought that would have happened, honestly. But I'm going too long on this one thing, so yeah, that was probably one of the best moments. And speaking of Rey, the relationship between Rey and Luke was pretty intense, and also a great part of the movie. Luke's character in this movie took a turn for the worst. I don't think anyone was expecting his character to turn out this way, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's not the Luke we're used to, but based on what Luke has been through all this time between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, it makes sense that he's just doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody anymore. Like, he just came to this island to die. That's what he said. Poor him. Feel bad. He lost everything. Now he just wants to sit here and die. But overall, Luke's character in this film, I enjoyed very much. They portrayed him the way they needed to portray him, I think, in this story. It fit the story a lot. And what happened to him throughout the movie overall was perfect. And his story ended in the best way possible, in my opinion. He became one with the Force in the end. When all the resistance was on the Crate planet, they were facing down the First Order in the last-ditch effort to save and reignite the rebellion. Luke had come in. We didn't know he was actually not there until after Kylo Ren discovered that, Kylo Ren was pissed off to no end. As soon as he saw Luke, he's just point all these guns at him. That didn't work, obviously. So Kylo Ren's just you know what, I'm gonna go face him one-on-one. See what happens. Luke made sure he didn't touch him with his lightsaber until the very last minute, and then Kylo was just pissed off even more. And Luke served his purpose at that point. He stalled long enough for the resistance to leave, escape, restart the rebellion, and Luke became a legend. And then, because of him projecting himself all the way from Octo to Crate, that put too much on him, and he was sitting on that rock. He saw the suns. That was a beautiful moment, and then he became one with the Force. That was a perfect end for his character right there, I thought. And more than likely, I think we'll be seeing a Force ghost of him in episode 9 for sure. I'd be surprised if it doesn't show up. But anyways, so let's see, what else do I like about the movie? I did like the Crate planet itself. That was a pretty interesting and beautiful planet. And those crystal foxes, though, I love those crystal foxes. Those were beautiful. They looked like generic foxes, but they made it to where they looked unique in their own way, and they just looked so cool. And just the whole salt thing in general just made the planet unique and amazing. But there's another planet that I'm going to talk about when I talk about bad stuff that's the exact opposite of how I feel about Crate. Ha. Oh dear. Okay, so pretty much the majority of the movie was pretty entertaining, pretty awesome. It's your Star Wars. It has your Star Wars moments in it. It has all the stuff a Star Wars movie needs, for the most part, I think. And overall, I'd say this is a really enjoyable movie. But at the same time, I feel like this movie had way more problems than it needed to. Then again, this movie was directed by someone completely different, someone who has never touched a Star Wars movie before, someone brand new with their own unique take on it. So there's that. It is what it is, but in the end, it's Star Wars. It's amazing. It's awesome. Love it. If you hate Star Wars, that's fine, but in the end, you're stupid. I'm just kidding. Star Wars is really amazing, though. Anyways, moving on to the bad stuff. Alright, first and foremost, Captain Phasma. What are you doing with Captain Phasma? Just, for the majority of the movie, she's not even in it. I'm just thinking, so we've heard that her character's kind of going to get redeemed in terms of, being able to have more screen time and do more in the film, but in the end, she had the exact same amount of things to do in this movie as she did in The Force Awakens. And then she pretty much died. Well, actually, we don't know that for sure, but in this movie, I feel like it looked like she was pretty much dead and gone. So no more Captain Phasma. Yeah, they just kind of threw her away. That was really disappointing. And the fight wasn't even that epic and great between her and Finn as we thought it would be. It was just disappointing. And some of the humor in this movie, I have to say, I didn't like. I get it, but still, I think this movie had a little bit. The type of humor that this movie had I don't think fit in a Star Wars movie that well. But that's just me. Especially that towards the very beginning with Hux and Poe. That was just extremely stupid. But then again, Hux's character is pretty stupid to begin with, so he's oh god. I feel Hux's character is just so stupid. Like, at first I thought he was something completely different in The Force Awakens, but like as soon as he came into this movie, I'm just like, oh, so he's that kind of character. Okay, yeah. Oh dear. But what can you do? And speaking of Poe, he made a lot of stupid decisions in this movie. His character arc in general, I enjoyed how he evolved, but just everything he did was completely and utterly unnecessary and defeated the purpose of over half the movie. So in the end, everything that him and eventually Finn and Rose would do, all of that nonsense didn't pay off in the end. Of course, if you look at it story-wise, it's kind of the point, but the way you want the audience to feel is you wanted it to pay off in a good way. Like, no matter what the outcome of the story was, you wanted it to pay off in a good way, and I don't think it did that. It didn't. It's hard to explain that, but you should know what I mean. When they were trying to freaking counteract what Admiral Holdo was doing with the fuel, with the ships and everything, they had like this super secretive plan that they didn't tell Poe or anybody really about. Like, you created the most unnecessary conflict, which probably could have got you killed. You had a plan, you knew it was going to work, but in the end you caused it to be undone and lose more people in the process than you could have. You could have saved more people if you had just told Poe the plan. That's all you had to do. And like that, you made Finn, the new character they introduced, Rose, go off on an extremely useless adventure with BB-8, and like they went to this completely generic planet that it's like nothing we haven't seen before. Sure, the scenery was pretty nice and whatnot, but it was like this same generic nonsense. And in the end, like the person they recruited to help them get onto the Supremacy, which was their plan to like deactivate stuff or whatever, destroy stuff, they I can't stress enough how pointless that was. Alright? Going on this way too much. This is going to be the longest review I've ever done. What the heck? And this movie was 2.5 hours long. They could have easily cut this down to something way more simple, structured a little bit better. Because like I felt like the plot point where the First Order was just slowly following the last Resistance ship took way too long to resolve. They dragged that out way too much. Because usually the way a Star Wars movie is structured, you have your core characters that the story follows go from one situation to another. Some of them split up from time to time, but you go from one thing to another. But this one, they specifically focused on one thing throughout the entire movie. That was a little bit too unnecessary in my opinion. But anyways, one more thing I did not like is how they portrayed that one scene with Leia, the scene where the two TIE fighters that were with Kylo's TIE silencer, they blew up the bridge, everyone goes out, including Leia, which I was shocked that scene happened. I'm just like, wait, no, they're not actually doing that, are they? That would be the dumbest way possible to end that character. No, that's not what you should have done. I'm just like, okay, thank God she's actually alive later, when she pulled herself back into the ship. But just the way that scene was portrayed, just why? You could have made that look so much better. And really quick, speaking of Leia, I did love her character in this movie. I'm really glad that she was able to finish all her scenes for this film, because I was kind of worried that maybe there might have been one or two inconsistencies with it. But no, everything was perfect. Takes a moment of silence. We must remember the princess. Anyways, so overall, the movie was really enjoyable. It's a Star Wars movie. You gotta love it no matter what. Like, people can have their own opinions, but in the end, it's a Star Wars movie. It's gonna be a main event where everyone can gather together as fans and unite and just enjoy a Star Wars movie in the theaters, which is something that needs to be done. Seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters is #1 priority. But anyways, overall, I'd say I give this a good old 8 out of 10 as my review score for this film. I loved it, but I also understand that it has its problems, and some of them are worse than others. But in the end, it was really enjoyable, and I highly recommend it. And honestly, I have no clue what's going to happen in Episode 9 now. Like, I had some thoughts as to how the story might have gone, but Episode 8 turned that on its head, and now I have no clue where it's going to go from here. But thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments down below of what you thought of the movie, if you've seen the movie, and if you haven't seen the movie, you should go see the movie. It's more than likely still in theaters, or about ready to leave theaters, I don't know, but whatever the case may be, leave your thoughts down below. Remember to give this video a like if you liked it, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for more movie reviews by me and other content by the other people on this channel. And stay tuned for more movie reviews. Stay awesome. Grr.